All right, all right. 1 2 1 2. Here we go. Here we go. Let me get this set up right here. My apologies for the late start because man, every time you start this whole process again, you run into all those little things that you either forgot about or that have changed since the last time you did it, including using different hardware, software updates, all of that stuff. Six, what's going on? Yeah, it's Wednesday already, man. Time flies. Feels like it was Sunday yesterday. Can I move this a little closer? I'm starting to feel it, yo. My eyes. I need larger screens. We got Mike Mars in the building. So first off, how's the audio? How's the video? I can see myself. I can see my audio. Let me know in the chat if that audio is okay. Just give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. DJ Z, what's going on? DJ Matai in the building. What up? Um, 14 viewers. Why is the stream so low? Maybe because we just started like now. I had a countdown for 5 minutes, so people just received the notification, and we just started now, like 2 minutes ago. So give people some time to come in. We got DJ 312 with that subscription, 15 months in a row. That's crazy. Love it, love it, love it. And J340, audio's good. Nice. So it's a good question, though. First off, the stream just started. Second of all, I did stop my streams for like 6 months. And basically in this land of content creation, consistency is key. And anytime you're out of the picture for a while, you basically have to build it up again. Even with my live streams, my mixed streams, I started 6 weeks ago on Sunday. If you haven't checked that out yet, every Sunday I do my Sunday sessions. That's my first mix show. More mix shows will follow. But even like in week 4, 5, and 6, I still see people come in like, hey, you're back, meaning that they missed the previous 5 weeks. So this will take time and, again, consistency. Gons, I see you. I want to move my monitor closer, though. Let me see, because, I changed my setups. This will mean the camera will come a little bit closer because the camera's on my monitor. I'm using the Insta360 Link. That's like a webcam. I purchased this a while ago, and I did not have a chance to use it yet. But it's nice. For a webcam, the quality is pretty amazing, and that's just a cool feature to have when you're on your own. Mike Fuentes, I see you. Vinyl Touch, what up? Good to see you. And we got Real DJ Black in the building. Mark is here. Mark Driesen. Shabdul, I see you. And so, first off, before we get into it, hi to the peeps on Mixcloud, on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Kick. Of course, my YouTube channel, DJ TLM TV, and Twitch, wherever you're tuning in from. Great to see you. This is the Share the Knowledge podcast live stream, whatever you want to call it, but Share the Knowledge is the slogan of my YouTube channel. That's what this is all about. It is about not just me sharing my DJ experience with you, but also at the same time, I'm trying to learn from you, because over the years, I've learned that everyone's experience is different. There's a whole bunch of scenes that I have no experience with, and things work differently in different scenes, different cities, different countries. So I learn every time we do this live stream. It's all about DJ-related questions. Anything goes. And if I don't know the answer, there's always a chance that people in the chat will know the answer. Charlie, what up? Mixmaster G, Good to see you too. So every Sunday, Sunday sessions, and every Wednesday, you can find me here for the Share the Knowledge podcast live stream. But more mixed shows are following, all right here on what I call Crates Radio / DJ TLM TV. I saw a question. Matai had a question. In 2023, I see it's not enough to just be a DJ. You need to be a content creator, DJ, marketing guru, and more. How can you manage to offer that time to this business? Great question. I mean, yes, times have changed, and there are different ways to promote yourself that we previously didn't have. Like when I started out, if I wanted to promote myself, I had to physically go everywhere and connect with people. Mixtapes was something that was big for me, and I'm talking about actual mixtapes on cassette, like spreading out mixtapes, selling mixtapes, getting your sound out there. Nowadays, a lot of it is done digitally. People will network online. People will just promote online. But if this is your business, then you need to spend the time on doing these things. If it's just a hobby or you want to play every once in a while, I can understand it might seem like a lot if you have to do all of that stuff. But if you treat this like a business, your business is going to need that marketing and promotion. Networking is still a thing. And so offer that time. Time management is important. And I don't want to lose my train of thought here. I mean, I don't know if you have to be like a crazy content creator, meaning that you don't need to have these like fully polished videos. I do see a lot of that going on now. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of it, especially on Instagram, for instance. Now I see a lot of these short clips from DJs who prepare like a little like 1 minute mix routine, and they're either mixing in 10 different tracks, and people seem to think it's amazing. I'm not the biggest fan. Some of them are dope. Some of them are just average, and they're just throwing a lot of tracks out there. I don't think every DJ needs to approach it that way. But let's be honest. If you have a gig somewhere, if you can find even like one friend with an iPhone to shoot some footage for you, then you already have some content that you can put out there as promotional material. I think that's more important than actually having like fully polished like stuff going on. Wait, and back. Sorry, I thought someone said the video was gone, but it's a different topic. Got you. I have 17 screens open. Just need to make sure everything is working everywhere. But yeah, I also feel what I've heard from DJs in the last couple of years is that a lot of times promoters now are somehow asking DJs to do stuff that they're not supposed to do. Like DJs who get booked all of a sudden have to do all of the promo for the party. And that's not, I don't feel that's the way it should be. Of course, as a DJ, you want to post where you're playing, but I see a lot of promoters who are putting a lot of emphasis on actually making DJs really do a lot of the promo. And the only way I would do that is if people were paying me to also do the promo. This is a long-winded question I answer, but that's because it is quite an extensive topic. We could spend probably 2 hours just talking about that topic. And just to keep it to the basics, how can you manage to offer that time to this business? That all has to do with setting priorities, most important thing first, and taking it from there. So networking, I feel just getting your name out there, networking is one of the most important things, and that will take a lot of time. If you do it in person or online, that will take up a lot of time. But it is important. People need to know you exist and know what you do in order for you to possibly get some bookings. Next to networking, having content available will also help. So if people can actually like see or hear you, preferably both. So that's why, for instance, I love to do the live stream sessions, because people can see and hear me. And after I do my live stream, I'll post the audio version on Mixcloud. So if people want to hear what I do, they can always find that as well. So I think those two things are are pretty important. And time management, man, you got to find a way to make the most out of your time. So that live stream is a way for me to stay sharp, basically practice. At the same time, I'm broadcasting, getting video out there so people can't see me. I cut clips from that live stream that I can post on my Instagram. So my Instagram posts are never like these prepared sets. I just take short clips from my 2-hour set. After I did the live stream, I go into OBS. I also record. I live stream from OBS and I also record in OBS. I'll take that video and I'll just go through it and cut out like whatever 5 to 10 clips that I can post during that week. And I'm doing a live stream every week. So every week I can have at least 5 to 10 pieces of content from just that one live stream. Of course, this also takes time. And yes, I do have to spend the time to do that. But research also helps you to work not just hard, but also smart. So quick tip. I don't know if do we have any DJs in the chat right now who live stream using OBS? Let me know that in the chat for a second. Who's using OBS to live stream? Because I have a tip that maybe you were not aware of yet, something you can do in OBS right now. And Gons, I appreciate that. It's great to hear that the videos helped out. DJ Jago in the building, salute. And who else is here? Poverty DJ using OBS. And more OBS. All right, so real quick, there's a plugin, and I think the actual name of the plugin is just Vertical. And some of you may already be aware of that plugin. And this is a plugin you can use inside OBS. So for the people who don't use OBS, the next couple of minutes might be a little bit of just like alien gibberish if you're not familiar with it. But for my OBS users out there, normally when you're using OBS, you'll have your little tab with your sources and your scenes. Once you install the Vertical plugin, you'll have extra tabs that will show vertical scene and vertical sources. And it actually is basically what the name suggests it is. It is a second source or a second screen you see next to your first screen, but it's in vertical mode. So the ratio is already correct for, let's say, Instagram Reels and stuff like that. Now, you can do the same thing you can do with your normal sources and scenes. So I set up my scenes for my live stream, for my Sunday sessions in this case. And I'll have for instance, my main camera. And below that, I'll have my Serato screen. Or on top of that, I'll have my Serato screen. And maybe add some more things. Next to that, I see a vertical version of the screen. And I can add those same sources to that screen, but I'll make them fit for a vertical video. Once you have that set up, you can even link your vertical scenes to specific normal scenes. So if I go to my talking scene, it'll switch to the vertical talking screen as well. And I can record both. After I'm done with my live stream, in the past, if I wanted to make a video clip for Instagram, I had to actually cut it out, fit it into a vertical screen, and do a whole lot of extra editing, which takes up time. Now, when I'm done with my live stream, I'll have an OBS recording for my normal live stream. I still record that, but I also have a vertical version of my entire live stream with everything in there already set up. If you go to my Instagram and you check my latest posts, you'll see a nice vertical screen with my Serato in there, with my top view camera, my main camera, and it even has like my logo at the bottom, and all the way in the bottom you see like some graphics going on. I don't have to edit that. All I have to do is just cut a beginning and end for a clip, and then I have a clip. So for my OBS users, that is something that saves me a lot of time. So if you're using OBS for your live streams and you also make clips from that, this is great for vertical video. Like I said, I still record my normal live stream because if I want to have like just a normal 1080 video, I still have that. but that vertical saves me so much time. I believe it's just called. Damn it, I forgot the name when let me check my downloads real quick. I mean, when I see it on screen in OBS right now, the window is actually just called vertical, but it should still be in my downloads. Let me see if I can find that. See if it's still called vertical. I have not spent a lot of time behind this computer. I can tell you that much. Been working from home a lot on the Mac. I always have to switch that mindset when I get back behind my Windows computer. Is it still in here? Damn it, I'm not seeing it. I'll look it up, and otherwise I'll make a post on my Instagram so you can see what I mean if you haven't been able to find it yet. All right, I think I skipped over a couple of questions. Let me see. Chris Wilson, salute, I see you. Scroll back up. Man, it's been a while since the Q&A. It's been a while since I had to scroll back up for these questions. For the people who used to be here, you remember, I always run way behind. So if this is your first time watching my Q&A, if you post a question in the comments, in the chat, I will see it, but it might take me some time to get to your question because I'm answering a previous question. That being said, I had to check Mixcloud behind me for a second, but all I see is a spam comment. Never mind. Get my mouse back. I'm working with 3 screens right now. Charlie, I see you. If I missed some of you in the chat shouting you out, my bad. Mixmaster G says he's moving to YouTube because that's where everyone is. I don't know. I'm seeing. I see when I'm looking at Restream, I see YouTube, Twitch, YouTube, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. Chris is on Facebook, and some of these we can't even see in here. Okay, back to the questions. I'm doing my mother's 80th birthday party, and I'm nervous as you know what. Playlist like 60s, 70s. Where can I get this? I have Tidal and I'm subscribed to DMS. 60s and 70s. Great question. I use BeatSource. I'm not sure how large their 60s and 70s playlists collection is. I mean, I know they have the music, but Tidal also has the music. Take a look at BeatSource. That might be a thing. And otherwise, it's going to be like some tedious work you have to do. I mean, you could find online just like playlists with like dope songs from that time, and then you have to like look them up yourself on Tidal and put them in a playlist. That, of course, is an option, but that's going to take you a ton of time to do. Anyone in the chat, if you know a place where you can get some great 60s and 70s playlists, drop that in the chat as well. Kevy Kev says, I have doubles and triple of one song. How can I get rid of multiple songs? There is software for that. And since he's here, I know this is probably the person we need to ask, and that's Mixmaster G in the chat as well. Because I know certain music management software also can look for doubles and triples and handle that. What's your opinion on using Serato stems for live remixes? Is that something you do? Yes. I mean, I don't really call it remixes because I'm doing it during transitions. But if you tune in on Sundays for my live sessions, I've been using Serato stems a ton. So where I would normally do a transition from one track to the next, I still do those, but for a lot of those transitions, instead of just mixing it in and just using EQ to make them work together, a lot of times I will now also just go to stems and at least take out the drums and bass, or sometimes take out drums, bass, and the melody and just leave the vocal in there So then for like 8 bars, sometimes 16 bars, I'm basically remixing, but I'm doing it during a transition. And at the end of that, I'll probably do some scratches with that vocal and then go into the new song. But I love, love, love working with stems. I really liked it when Algorithm DJ first introduced that a couple of years ago, but I didn't have a chance to use it a lot because they didn't have the DVS option. So I could only use it on my iPad or with a controller. But for normal DJing, when I'm using DVS with turntables, I couldn't use it. Now they finally have DVS, but now Serato also has their stems, and I think their stems sound a little bit better even than the one Algorithm has with the Neural Mix. They both sound better than Pioneer's version, and I have not used Virtual DJ's version, but I hear it's good as well. But I like using stems. I like it, it just adds to the creative options you have, especially if you make sure you take a look at the key of songs. You can do some dope stuff. I think I actually missed something about a Rev 7 in the beginning. And anytime I see Rev 7, I have to check. So let me just scroll up real quick because there was... Oh, that was just a question. Any Rev 7 fans in the house? So I'm right here. I'm right here. And Matai, I hope I answered your question about the whole time thing a little bit. You can always ask me more questions about that. K-Dub, salute. All right. Looking for the question, looking for the questions. How do you feel about the direction of newer controllers like the Flex 10, Rain 4? In what sense? In what sense? Because I don't think there's a major change if you look at the controllers of the past. Like they add on a couple of new features, which I'm a fan of. For instance, with the Flex 10, I announced that I was gonna do a set with that after this Q&A. I'm not 100% sure I'm gonna do that. I might. We'll have to see because I have not had the time to actually thoroughly look at it and test the features. And I don't want to do a set if I'm just doing normal mixing and not showing you guys the features. But I have the Flex 10. You actually can't see it now. Wait, let me see. You can. Okay, you can't see it here. There it is. There it is. I have it here. Oh, that looks good. Oh, damn. It was lighting up a second ago. Okay. I have it here, but I still have to look at it. So maybe I'm giving it some thought while we're doing this Q&A. Maybe I'll just hop on it real quick after the Q&A. Otherwise, I'll move that to probably tomorrow so I can just sit with it and work with it a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if we're looking at the direction of newer controllers. I mean, I see some developments I like, taking it back to that Rev 7, besides the fact that it has the spinning platters, which is important to me. I was like really happy with the fact that there was finally a controller out there with the way the layout was set up with the battle style players and the mixing section, which had all the cue points and everything, just like a normal scratch mixer would. So I love that layout feature. And yes, I think it's the ADAM vertical plugin, Poverty DJ. I think that's the one. When it comes to the Flex 10, for instance, when you look at it, it's not that different from controllers that we've seen before, but it has some more features. And that's one of the reasons why I want to take some more time. I was checking out Mojax's review, and he was going through a whole lot of things about like even taking stems and putting them on one channel. And I don't know, I have to look at that again and look at the device again. But yeah, I'm not sure if they're that different. Or did you notice like a big difference when you saw the Flex 10 and the Rain 4? Rain 4 is something I have not looked at that much at all yet. So to be honest, for everyone watching, I haven't streamed in like 6 months. I started like the music streams 6 weeks ago, but I've also not spent that much time on DJ gear and tech during that time. So I'm catching up now as well. I hear about the releases, I see the videos and photos, but I did not give it an in-depth look like I would have in the past. So now I'm catching up. Rico Radio, salute. You do. And who's that? DJ Cable in front of it. GS, I see you. Nicholas, salute. Have you had problems with freezing cameras with the latest version of OBS? I have had some camera issues, but I blame that mostly on the GoPro. I was still a fan of GoPros just because of their size, and especially if you're doing outdoor gigs, it's so easy to bring, and with their wide viewing angle, it's great. In the studio, if you don't have enough lights, the quality isn't that great. But I have two working GoPros, a 9 and a 10. And that 10 for some reason still like restarts on times, and sometimes they do freeze, and I have to like get them out of their media mod case, and I have to take out the battery, otherwise they won't restart. But that's more their problem than and not an OBS problem. So I'm not sure. I did notice a couple of times now when I restarted OBS that I had to like take a look at that camera source and click on it, change it to OBS virtual cam, and then back to the normal camera, and then it would show up. I'm not sure if that's since the last update though. Not 100% sure. Let's see. This is the description. Make content for TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Live, and more without the fuss. Use separate canvas to manage your... probably DJ. Exactly. So that is the description. You have the canvas next to your normal canvas, and then you can just set the screen up the way you want to. And like I said, you can make multiple scenes just like your normal scenes, but vertical scenes. And once you made a vertical scene, you can then link it to a specific normal scene or even multiple normal scenes. And it works great. But wait, that's a paid plugin? Let me see. Because I do also have an subscription. I'm going to check. I'm pretty sure that is the one though. And even if it's paid, for me, it's worth it. But I'll have to double check. Collector Ski Music, good to see you. How have you been getting along with the VL12s during live gigs? Grease. I love them. I'm using them on tour currently. Well, the tour is almost over. We toured for a couple of months, and the last couple of gigs, unfortunately, were spread out across like 6 weeks. So no shows now, and then we have our final 2 shows in about a week and a half. And I've been using the VL12s for the entire tour. I love them for the live gigs because of the way they have their ins and outs on what I call the back. When I have them in my battle position, they're on the right side for me, the back, so I can plug everything in easily. One of them is damaged slightly, but that is due to the flight cases not being tailor-made for that turntable. I have some pretty good flight cases, but they have a generic inner that's not made specifically for that turntable, and I can tell that something in there moved. And they still work, even though I have to thoroughly test them because I'm using them with phase. So I'll have to bring them in here, get them on some vinyl, and see if everything is still working accordingly. But yes, I love using them. Restream, if you're affiliated or sponsored, your contract doesn't allow you to stream Twitch with other web-based streaming services at the same time. However, you can stream at the same time with mobile-based live streams like Instagram. Yeah, probably. DJ, I've heard of that before, and I stream to all platforms all the time. I haven't had issues with it yet, and I am an affiliate. Virtual DJ allows me to use my knobs with the stems, which I prefer. Got you. If you want to do like you can do that with I think Neural Mix from Algorithm DJ does the same thing. You can choose to have the EQ set up as EQ or for stems. I personally haven't used it that way because I just prefer to have that quick on off. So on my on the S7 mixer, I just MIDI mapped which one did I use? I think I used Roll or Q Loop, one of those that I don't normally use. Set those up to activate or deactivate the different stems. And yeah, for me, it's an on-off thing, not a knob thing, but that's definitely a case of preference. Easy Mike D with that sub 16 months in a row. I see you. I appreciate that sub and that support. Mike, I personally love the Serato stems. Makes it so much easier for the DJs. I mean, easier to some degree because you won't notice it. Let's say, for instance, you're doing a transition. If your tracks aren't perfectly lined up, you're going to hear it if snares are just not layered perfectly. With stems, if you take the beat out and you just have the acapella playing, you won't notice it as fast. So it allows you to basically be a little bit sloppier. Then again, if you get too far apart, then you start to manipulate the flow of the acapella, and then people can hear like, hey, it's not lined up correctly. The other thing, and that's the dangerous part, is when DJs don't have an ear for like notes, tones, keys, and they don't pay attention to their key info. You could get some really cringy sounding remixes because you can't just play every acapella with every instrumental. They don't always have to be in key. Sometimes it won't be that bad. It will sound better if they are in key or related key. But yeah, some DJs just don't hear that. So it could lead to some really bad sounding remixes as well. But yes, I love the option that we have that option now. Wait, my sandwich. What up? Where can we find you this summer? This summer, I'm not sure yet. So we're in the middle of a tour now. We're finishing that tour. Then we have some band shows. Then during the month of June, we have a bunch of different festivals lined up. And I think maybe some in July. And then there's no shows right now for the rest of July and August, which is also going to work out for me because that's the summer holidays. And when you have kids, they're forcing you to take that time as your holiday time. So that will most likely be holiday time spent with the fam. So during that part of summer, no gigs yet. But if I do have them, you'll find that I'll post them on my Instagram for sure. So Poverty DJ, like I said, I've been doing that with Restream since I started doing it on Twitch, and up until this point, it works. And if they stop doing it, then I'll have to choose which platform. Like let's say for Share the Knowledge, for this one, YouTube would be my number one platform because this show is related to that platform. For my mixing, I don't use Twitch and YouTube at the same time. Twitch would be the main one. So if I was ever forced to do that, I would. What's your opinion on the XDJ 1000 Mark II record box only? I have not used it. I haven't used it, tested it, nothing. So I can't speak on it. Do you find stems to be resource intensive on your Mac? Ray Vega, for me, it has not been an issue. I'm using a MacBook Air M1. So that's the first version when they came out with their M1 laptops, just a base model MacBook Air. And that can handle it very easily. So for me, it hasn't been an issue. Maybe once or twice when I was doing a transition, and on my S7, I would hit 3 of the pads at the same time to take out melody, bass, and kick. And yes, I understand I can also map a different button to just solo, but I didn't do that. So I was sometimes when I press all 3, I would get like a millisecond of like an audio gap. Maybe at that point, the processor has a little bit of difficulty with it, but to be honest, I can just go all out with the stems and have no issues. I've even used them when I use Serato Video. I use Serato Video and stems, and that worked fine as well. I think that was one of the reasons why the record box version doesn't sound that great yet, because they say that they wanted to make it accessible for everyone. So it's very it hardly impacts your CPU. But you can hear it, though. Like, the quality difference is really there. That was a little bit shocking to me. But the cool thing is, so for instance, with that Flex 10, yes, you can control your stems in Rekordbox, but Rekordbox doesn't sound that great yet. That is something they can upgrade over time. The controller is ready for it. You can't control it. And I assume that Rekordbox will improve. And over time, they will sound better. Shorty Lex with the follow. Appreciate that. How do you get licenses to avoid getting copyrighted on YouTube for your mixes and live streams? You don't. You basically don't. That's the whole thing. You don't have the rights to use the music, and if labels decide to just let these platforms know, like, hey, we don't want this, then they will handle that accordingly. So YouTube is an issue. Facebook is an issue. Twitch works okay because they allow me to stream, but after my stream, like most of my stream will get muted, so I can't replay. And they'll let me know, like, hey, we hear some stuff in your stream that's not allowed to be played, but that's after the stream. So during my stream on Twitch, no problem. Mixcloud is the only one that's officially safe because they actually work with the labels. They just don't have the following. But on Mixcloud, you can stream away all day without any issues, and you can have the audio replay on there. So that's what I do. I stream to a couple of platforms, the video version, and after that I have an audio replay that is always available on Mixcloud. YouTube, I mean, you can do it, and in some cases they'll just hit you with a couple of emails like, hey, you use some songs and we have some there's some copyright issues going on. You don't have to do anything, and we're just going to run ads on your video. If that's the case, you can actually have it on. But some labels are more strict, and if you use their songs, they'll automatically just let YouTube, like, delete the stream, and you can get more serious warnings. And I've had that happen once as well. And then they start to talk about how you're now you're not following their rules, and I don't know. I've received warnings that I don't want to receive anymore, so I stopped streaming on YouTube. Now, there are ways to go around this, and people will say, like, hey, you can also, like, just take snippets of the songs you're going to use for your mix. You put them all together in one file. You upload that to YouTube. Just keep it private. YouTube will scan it, and it will let you know which tracks you can use and which one you can't use. That can be a cool solution if you have a prepared set that you want to play. For me, it doesn't work because I play freestyle, so I don't know what I'm going to play in advance, and I'm not going to make a file with like 400 or 500 songs in there that I'm going to test on YouTube just in case I might want to use them. So for me, that's not really an option. Who ate my sandwich with that subscription 7 months in a row? Love it, love it. Much appreciated. Do you do producer based sessions at all? I'm trying to learn non-trivial edit mashup bootleg making, but it's tough to find decent tutorials. Um, well, I mean, I've done like beat making videos. I'm gonna get back to that, but not really like edit mashup bootleg type of things. Damn. There's one DJ on Twitch who does that quite a lot. Damn it, who was it again? He takes you like through the entire process, also for mashups and stuff like that. All right, if the name pops up, I'll let you know. I've heard that it does utilize a lot of resource, and therefore getting a machine with higher specs is important. Ray, like I said, like for me, it works perfectly on an M1 MacBook Air. I have the base model. So is that a highly spec'd computer? I mean, to a certain degree, yes, it is. I just never viewed it that way because of its price. But in the price range that the MacBook Air M1 goes for, you can't find anything that beats it at that price. I don't know what they're selling for now, but I think you can get one for probably around 8 or something like that. Especially if you look for good deals, especially since the M2 versions are out. It works well for me. Now, if you can go for a higher spec machine, it's probably always a good thing. Also, to use the future-proof argument, it's always good to have something with more power. Would I have gone for something even more powerful? I mean, of course, I would love to have like one of those brand new M2 MacBook Airs, but that's a totally different price point compared to using one MacBook Pro. The M2 MacBook Pro, fully spec'd, we're talking thousands compared to this M1 MacBook Air, which runs you less than 1,000. So, yeah. For me, for now, as a DJ computer, it's working really well. DJ Spirit, all the way from Greece. I mean, all the way. Greece is not that far from the Netherlands, but yeah. And we got Cali Veg with that follow. Cali Veg 420. GoPros and cam links cause a lot of freezing issues. I've tried every fix in the book. 6, yeah. And that's really one of the downsides with using those for the streams. I mean, overall, they work well for me. You see my streams, like most of the times they work. But sometimes my stream will start like 10 minutes late because right before I go on, even today, like I was setting it up just in case I'm going to do the mix afterwards. That top one was like frozen again. I had to like take it out of the entire casing, get the battery out, put it back in, and then I could restart it. And even then, like I just went there, and I think I still don't have, let me check. I think there's still something wrong there. Where is it? Let me check. You won't hear me for a sec. Hold up. Nope. That's the GoPro again. So yeah, they can be a handful, but I've had a lot of fun using them, and I don't regret buying them. But if I have a different budget, I would probably get some different cameras for all angles. I am happy with this little guy right here. Once again, the Insta360 Link. That's Insta360's webcam. It's a tiny little webcam on a gimbal that, like, you may not notice that much, but the table was moving a lot. It can handle that, but it can also follow me, and you can do a bunch of dope things with it. I wanted that especially for the Share the Knowledge live stream, because normally I would have to take 1 or 2 of my cameras that I use for my mix sessions and set them up for the Share the Knowledge sessions. I don't want to go through all of that hassle anymore. So just want to have one cam that I can use for these talking head videos and leave the rest there for the other style of videos. But just to have this, pretty cool. You can see how messy it is in the back when I do that, but It's cool, and I like the image quality compared to some of the webcams that I've used in the past. This looks pretty good. Seeing the replay now. Yeah. All right, back to this here. DJ VIP just got the Rain 1. Congrats. That for sure is a lot of fun. I mean, I love anything with the spinning platters. That's one I do want to test, though. I saw the NAM video, BeatSource's NAM video. I saw that the new Hercules controller with the spinning platters. I want to try that. People sounded like they were pretty exciting. The only thing is I heard it was like belt drive. So I want to feel that. So I'm going to reach out to Hercules to see if we can do something with that. I want to test that. Anything with spinning platters, I'm always open to test. Thompson, what's going on? Easy Mike D. Yes, indeed. Do you consider yourself as a festival DJ? I'm trying to understand how guys like you, Qbert, Angelo make your living. Real DJ Black. No, I don't consider myself a festival DJ. I consider myself a DJ. And that's because I've done and do all aspects of DJing. So I've been a bedroom DJ. I've been a mixtape DJ, starting with the cassettes. I'm a club DJ. I DJ festivals. I'm a tour DJ for an artist. I've been doing that for 25 years with the same artist now. So I've done like over 4,000 live shows besides the DJ gigs that I've done. I don't even know how many I've done of those. I've been DJing clubs for 30 years now. Radio DJ, and not just the live streams I do here. I've done like shows on radio stations, in radio studios. So all the different ways you can DJ, I've done most of them. I mean, I'm not a mobile DJ, but I've done a couple of weddings. I don't consider myself a wedding DJ. That is a different skill and business altogether. Even though you're still DJing, there's a lot more that comes into play for weddings. And like I always say, the only time I do a wedding is when I'm booked to just play the way I normally play in a club. So I'll have one wedding coming up like in a couple of months. And that's also from people who used to come to the club where I was playing, and they want me to come play at their wedding and play like throwback hip hop and R&B. That's when I play a wedding. But I do and have done all of these different ways that you can DJ. I've done DJ workshops. So of course, the educational side, I've definitely found my place there. With my YouTube channel as well, over 500 videos, educational videos for DJs, and I think I'm even leaving certain things out now. But no, I would never say festival DJ. Even though I've done festival DJs, I don't call myself one type of DJ. I do it all. If I had to pick one, it would have been club DJ, because I've definitely played more clubs than festivals. And there's not that big of a difference, at least in the hip hop and R&B genre. And I can only speak for me in here. I don't see that big of a difference between playing at a festival or playing in a club. In both of those situations, if I'm playing like in a commercial club or at a festival and it's a hip hop R&B stage, I'm basically playing the same way. So, for me, that's not really different. Maybe that's totally different in different genres, but for me, I don't really distinguish those two things. I hope that's clear. Do DJs have to be genre-oriented and specialize in one style to get more gigs? My boss at the bar, I'm a resident, says that I should have a specific style and play certain genres in order to succeed more. I would say that the opposite is probably true. And I can say that because I do play multiple genres, but I would consider myself a hip hop or hip hop R&B DJ. even though I play styles that are related to it, so some dancehall and new jack, which just falls under R&B, a little bit of like electronic music, but it's going to be hip hop R&B as that base. I could probably do a lot more gigs if I play a wider variety of music. So no, I don't think you're going to get more gigs if you specialize in one style. Maybe for certain styles, that could be the case, that if you're better and more specialized, you can get more gigs. But for the most, you're going to be better off if you're well-versed in multiple genres and styles. So I don't know how your boss came to that conclusion, but maybe things are like that where you're at. But I don't think so. Shorty Lex, Germany in the building. What up, neighbor? DJ James in the mix, all the way from Oklahoma. I see you. DJ Six wants to know, which site did you get your drops for the Sunday shows? Fiverr. I use Fiverr for all of those things. So I have a lot of the logos that I've done in the past 10 years, 5-10 years. I don't want to, maybe 10 years ago, Fiverr wasn't there. I'm not sure, but all of the logos I've been using for the last couple of years have come from Fiverr. DJ drops, same thing. I go to Fiverr. Now, it is hit and miss. I've ordered a couple of drops a couple of years ago from one dude who was selling like male and female drops. And the female drop was okay. The male drop was horrible. That can happen. I mean, you can check like examples before you purchase. And the examples were okay, but the end result was not to my liking. So he didn't do a bad job. The drop was a drop, but I just totally didn't like his voice and pronunciation. I found a couple over the years that I've used multiple times now. So when it comes to the female voices, I have like one or two I like to use, even though I still edit them. Like one of them, I like the way she says stuff, but her voice just sounded a little bit too young. She sounded almost like a girl. So I just take her drops and then I edit them and I just pitch them down a little bit and make it sound more female. And I have a couple of male drops that I use now for the Crates Radio and the Sunday show with that male voice. And in his case, I let him do the entire drop. So he adds all of the effects and everything. And sometimes I do that myself. But Fiverr is a great place. If you don't know Fiverr, it is an online marketplace for everything. You can, whatever you need done, you can find someone on Fiverr to do it. So it's not just like flyer design, logos, and DJ drops. It's anything. If you need people to edit your videos, if you need people to design t-shirts for you, if you need people to fill in forms for you, I mean, you can find anything on Fiverr, as crazy as you can think of it, and all sorts of prices. Same thing, like my Crates Radio logo. That's just my Crates logo, and I've added the radio and changed colors. But even the one like here, that's the OG. Oh, there you go. The OG Crates logo that I had designed a couple of years ago. It had the circle around that, but I never used that for my normal Crates logo. Now with Crates Radio, I just use the original thing that was attached to it because I make sure I order my logos and get the source file so I can change anything afterwards. But to me, it's a great place. And some of these drops, I pay like $10, $15. The one with the male voice with all the extra effects, I think I paid, I'm not sure. Maybe like $30 for 5 of them, something like that. And for me, that's an investment that's worth it because I could do it myself, but it's going to take me a ton of time. Because I'd have to alter my voice, find the right effects, blah, blah. This dude does it for a living, and I order it, pay $30, and a couple of days later, I have my drop. So, love it. It's a shame Denon discontinued those decks. Yeah, I heard something about that. They don't do the VL12 anymore, right? Yep. Seems like if it ain't the 1200s, it's Reloop 7000, 8000. I'm on 7000 myself, but it was cool to see Denon bring out a deck. Yep. I love the style, the look of the deck. I love the little LED ring around the deck. It's super dope. But I have the RP 8000 Mark II here myself that I use a lot. And those are really dope turntables as well. True Life Elder, salute. So when I mix, I usually line up the tracks with the snare or clap of the track. Of course, I adjust the BPM to match first. Do you have any suggestions on mixing or improving my mixing style? I do the same thing. The snare has always been my go-to when I'm trying to hear if my tracks are lined up correctly, because I feel it's easier to define that listening to snares or claps compared to listening to kicks. Especially with hip-hop beats. The kicks aren't just 4 to the floor. Like with house music, I can understand if you have that 4 to the floor, boom, 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 boom on both tracks, you can focus on that and hear if they're just lined up right. But with hip-hop beats, with different drum patterns, most of the times you will have your snares on your 2 and 4, so you can line that up easier. So yeah, I do the same thing. That works well for me. Unless you're in Timbaland territory where the kicks and snares are all over the place, and then you have to focus on different things. But yes. Mike Fuentes is on the XDJ XZ. Yes, that's a big beast as well. What are your views on the PLX 500? Deepak, I've only touched those once at one of those conferences where they were set up, and I thought the torque didn't feel that strong. Now, I always forget if those are direct drive or belt drive turntables, but they just kind of lack the power that you have when you touch like the PLX 1000s, for instance, if we're going to keep it in Pioneer territory. So for me, that didn't feel that right, but I haven't truly tested them like to play a set. So I don't want to say too much because I've never seen them since then to test them. Earl Whiff, good to see you too. And yes, all is well over here for sure. DJ Gatsby in the building. I've been consistently streaming for a couple of months and struggling to gain any traction. I'd love for Mixcloud to be my main platform. Any tips on growing your views? So yeah, that's my issue with. So I'm not sure if you mean that you're only on Mixcloud or if you're streaming on multiple platforms. So Gatsby, let me know that in the chat. Are you using one or multiple platforms? And yes, Mixmaster G, Flipside. That's who I was thinking of. Yes, Flipside does a lot of those Ableton sessions, and he explains like a lot of that stuff. So if you're looking for tutorials on mashups and stuff like that, check out on Thursday. Check out Flipside on Twitch. He does those sessions. Checked a couple of those. Yeah, very good. But Gatsby, back to you. Like it's hard. Like streaming consistently is one thing. Yes, for sure. It is important. So people need to be able to, once they discover you, be able to find you and listen to you again. Are you recording your streams and posting clips of your streams? Because you need to promote the fact that you have a stream going on. And not just post a couple of clips once. You'll have to do that consistently as well. Gaining an audience is not an easy thing. And even if you have an audience on one platform, it doesn't mean that will translate to different platforms. I mean, I know I have the same thing. I have a pretty large YouTube audience. And even though I've neglected my YouTube, I have to like rebuild that as well. But it's not because I have a YouTube audience that when I do a live stream on Twitch, that all of a sudden I have a large Twitch audience. Now, it will help because if people by chance run into me, there's going to be that recognition that they might already know me from one of the other platforms. But even then, it will all come down to, are you bringing some content that people want to see and hear? I love live streaming because it lets me do exactly what I want to do. I'm not thinking about how I'm going to please and reach the most people, even though you could also use that as a mindset to do streams. and try to go for the thing that will most likely get you the most people. So depending on the style of music you play, and even within the style of music you play, if you play the most popular tracks, it's possible you might gain a larger audience who's into just that. That's not why I stream, but of course I do want to grow my audience. So it's important for me to stay consistent as well and continue to post clips from this. Also, of course, you need to link from all of the other platforms you use to your streams. But if you're using Mixcloud, I love the fact that Mixcloud is legal, but they do not, as far as I can tell, have that real community. And certain things are just still not working the way they work on other platforms. Even when I use Restream to stream to multiple platforms, if I go to Restream and I change the title of my stream, it will automatically change that title for me on YouTube or on Twitch or on some of the other platforms. But for Mixcloud, I will always have to manually go into Mixcloud and change that. Now, that doesn't have a lot to do with gaining an audience, but it's just those little things that make it less attractive to use. And there's more. Same thing with the chat. I'm using my Restream chat app, but I have to look behind me here to see if there's anyone else on Mixcloud leaving comments, because I cannot see their chat in my Restream chat. But I can see my Twitch here. I can see YouTube here. I can see Facebook here. So again, Mixcloud is making it a little more difficult. Okay, we got 2 people on Mixcloud watching, so that's not impressive either. Just a quick check. Hold up. Yeah, so, I mean, it's 31 on Twitch and it's 2 on Mixcloud. So, and I'm streaming on Mixcloud every time as well. So it's harder to gain an audience there. But I'm hoping you're going to tell me if you're only streaming on that platform. In the meantime, we'll continue for a sec. Yes, 6 says the same thing. Flip side. Yep. DJ LA, what's going on? I'm here, and I'm back. Shanda Down with that follow. I see you. T Cool, what up? Do you stream with a laptop or a desktop computer? I'm on a desktop computer. So I'm in the studio right now, and I'm streaming from my studio PC. I use that when I'm working in the studio for video editing, music production, and streaming. And that is the normal setup I use. So when I'm DJing, I will have my DJ laptop, DJing from that and streaming from this computer. Now, for about a year and a half, I did not have a DJ laptop. And I wasn't really playing during that time, especially the pandemic time. There were no gigs, but I didn't have a laptop at that same time. I mean, I had a laptop, but it was not trustworthy anymore. During like a year and a half that I was streaming during the pandemic here, I was streaming and DJing from this same computer. So the computer can handle it with ease. Works for me. Now, I've been at home on occasions that I couldn't come to the studio, and then I would stream from my home computer. And that home computer is a Mac Mini. And I mean, the streams work. I just don't like streaming there a lot. The lighting is terrible. The audio isn't that great. Even with a mic, I get a lot of reverb and stuff like that. But it works. But I mean, you can stream from a laptop as well. It all depends on the specs. I mean, this studio computer here can handle anything I can throw at it. Even now with OBS, let me check. I most likely will be on like a ridiculously low CPU usage. Let me see. .4% on my CPU. Sometimes it's even lower than that for OBS. So, yeah. And then I'm running 3 monitors. I have stuff open on all monitors, but that can handle that with ease. Ray Vega says, I had to log off for a minute, so I may have missed the answer to the question. Ray Vega, I think I answered your question indeed. Let me see. What did you ask again? What did Ray ask? Can I find your question again? Ray, just drop it in the chat again, just in case. I think I answered your question, but just drop it again. Maybe I'll just answer it again. Transsurgical, I see you from India. Big V in the building. Good day, good day. And the T7 splatters feel on point, but the faders and chassis are plastic. T7? Oh, Mo Berry, what up? And Mr. Bigger in the building, all the way from Botswana. Good to see you. I recently attended a high-tech festival in Goa, India. The BPM was way high, around 180 to 200. There was a DJ who played on audio cassettes. How hard is it to mix on cassettes? I've never done it. I've seen someone do like even a sort of a scratch set on cassettes, and that looked insane. Insane. So this sounds wild. This sounds wild. Is there video footage of that? I'd love to see that. Do you find the top hip-hop or R&B within the last 3 years have less of a dance vibe or no? King Complex has that question. It's I don't know. There's just a change, and that happens, of course, all the time. There's a change in vibe that will happen every couple of years where you can tell that the sound of music will change a little bit. And I think the sound in the last, more than 3 years has changed because the tempo has changed a lot as well. I mean, if you go back and you take a look at like 80s, 90s, 2000s, a lot of the hip hop and R&B would have a tempo, let's take it broad, but probably between 80 and 110, something like that. You know, well, the up tempo stuff was probably more 115, but let's just keep it in that ballpark. The last 10 whatever years, you have a ton of music that's been like the 70 or 140 BPM. I mean, same thing. That's a totally different bounce. There's a whole generation that is totally into that groove. And I noticed a couple of times when I took people from my age range to a party that I was playing at, where they were playing a lot of music in that style, they were like really confused of how to move to it. Because yes, when you got that 70 BPM bounce, that is something totally different compared to just like bopping your head to like a 90, 95 BPM joint. So it's different. I don't want to say it has less of a dance vibe because I've played in clubs where I'm rocking that at 140 and you got an entire crowd bouncing their ass off, you know? But in a totally different manner compared to a generation before that. So it's a different vibe. But yeah, I mean, I would even argue that for a lot of the fans of hip hop and R&B nowadays, that vibe and feeling is much more important compared to how it was for us. Because the previous generations, they needed that vibe and bounce, but we were also really into like content and skill. Now it's more about feeling. That's why you have a lot of artists out there, especially if we keep it to hip hop. A lot of the newer like crowds, they don't care that much about how well you can understand a person. I don't want to call it mumble rap because it's not just mumble rap, but the emphasis is not that much on deep content or being very audible. It's all about that vibe. And who are we to say that that's less danceable? So it's just a difference. And I can feel a lot of that vibe too, but it is a totally different vibe for sure. Using cassette tapes reduces your creativity. I don't know. Like I haven't seen a lot of that, but I've seen footage of a guy using cassettes and scratching with that, and that took a lot of creativity the way he was doing it. But I don't have further experience with that. Quick question: do you connect your mic directly to your ATEM? G-Funk Mix, great question, because I'm not using my ATEM. Now, of course, in this case, I'm doing this talking head video, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm using a webcam right here, Insta360 link. So the video is now my Insta360, and the audio is coming from my Rodecaster Pro, the first version. So my mic is going into my Rodecaster. That's here. Maybe I can do this. Let's see. Will you follow me? Yeah, there you go. Hey, stick with me. Okay, thank you. But for since I started my stream again, I've been using multiple cameras, but I'm not using my ATEM Mini anymore as the video switcher. And that's because I wanted to always have multiple cameras running on screen at the same time. And with the ATEM Mini, you're switching. Now, I know there is a picture-in-picture option, and you can mess around with the macros to kind of make that work, but I wanted to have individual control of all of the screens within OBS. And, of course, OBS will see your ATEM Mini as one source. So I actually went out, and I'm trying to think of the correct name. I bought the Elgato, and I think it's called the Cam Link Pro. It is an internal capture card with 4 inputs. It has 4 HDMI in ports on there. So I can now plug in 4 HDMI sources into my studio PC and have all of those separate screens going on. Now, I'm still using my ATEM Mini, actually, and this is the answer to your question in a long way. I did use my ATEM Mini when I'm doing mix sets to run the audio into it. And when I'm doing my mix sets, I'm currently still running my audio from the mixer into the ATEM Mini. So the ATEM Mini right now only takes my audio during mix sets. I'll continue to do that only until I get my other XLR cable over here. And then I'm just going to take 2 XLR cables straight from the mixer into my audio interface that I have here for my studio computer. The ATEM Mini is going to be around because whenever I'm going to do something outside of the studio and I want to do streaming, that is my go-to beast right there. I can have that multicam set up, and then I will run my audio into the ATEM as well. So yes, that is the way I used it and use it. But for this stream, this pod mic goes straight into the Rodecaster Pro. How do you feel about Kick, DJ Scant? I mean, I did what I mostly do with platforms. Even if I don't use them, I make an account. So I made sure I made an account, and I did look around there for a second, and I saw that there wasn't like a huge DJ scene going on there. So I thought like, hey, maybe I'll just try that out as well and see what happens there. Maybe it's easy to get an audience there. I haven't seen much happen on Kick yet. Actually, I haven't. Where's my Kick screen? I had Kick on one of these screens. Where is it? Hold up. Let me quickly see. Oh, here it is. Sorry. So, no, currently the only one I always see on Kick is DJ Six, who's always checking up on me on Twitch and Kick. But I'm not switching to Kick, and I'm also not one of the people who wants that. Some people feel it's like a safe haven for them to do stuff they can't do on Twitch. I know Kick is also dangling that little carrot for all of us rabbits out here, that they have a better revenue split. But of course, that only comes into play once you reach a certain threshold to become like a partner or affiliate or whatever they call it. I haven't given it too much thought beyond that, but I am a believer in making sure you at least try out different platforms to see what's available there. And sometimes, in this case, it didn't work, but sometimes if a platform is new or newer, then a scene isn't that large yet. And if you get involved in that scene at that time, you might have a better chance of gaining an audience compared to, for instance, on Twitch. If on Twitch you look at who's currently streaming DJ wise, you'll see a lot more names compared to what you see on Kick. So it would be easier to get discovered on a platform that has less users. But then again, there's probably also a lot less viewers there. But I haven't given it a lot of attention beyond that. Thanks for the answer. I appreciate the help. I just can't justify continuing to pay to be a pro and get like 3 views on Mixcloud. Hey, Gatsby, I mean, I feel you. Then again, it all depends on how much you want this and how important it is. Mixcloud is like, what is it? 11 bucks a month, I think. So it all depends if you have the option to invest in stuff like that, then you can continue to do it. For some people, the growth will come, but yeah, I mean, Mixcloud is a tricky one when it comes to that. I mean, I haven't seen much growth and much improvement since I started streaming there, even though I heard like over a year or 2 ago that certain improvements were coming, and I don't think they ever happened. I mean, I'm not sure. I think you still can't raid on Mixcloud, which would also help. So a couple of DJs could help each other out, push each other by doing like raids, stuff like that. The fact that it's not working within the Restream chat app, stuff like that. So yeah, I feel you though. How do you like the Omni portable turntable? Do you plan on doing a review on the Omni? Article, great question. And the answer is yes, I still need to do a review. I really liked it for the amount of time that I used it, and that hasn't been too much. I still have my PTO on scratch, the Newmark. If I compare those two, then the Omni it's more versatile with the multiple faders that you can use it from all angles, but I do still have to review that unit. Ray, you had the question about stems. All right, thank you. Resource and how intensive it is on the CPU. So my answer was that I'm using an M1 MacBook Air, first version, base model. And for me, I've run into no issues at all. It handles stems perfectly. That being said, an M1 MacBook Air is a pretty damn powerful machine, even though it's like their entry-level MacBook now. But it runs it perfectly. And if you haven't, if you don't have like a large budget to go for MacBook Pros and stuff like that, I didn't. So for me, this was the perfect solution. That M1 MacBook Air, it handles the DJ software perfectly. I've done Serato video, playing videos, and use stems, and it handled that perfectly. So for me, it's been working. Now, I always prefer to have a more powerful machine just in case, but for me, it has been working very well. John Splang, what up? Kingston, Jamaica in the building. Oh, sorry, Mixmaster G, thank you. I didn't know the Hercules was called the T7. Got you. So that has a kind of a plasticky feel. Yeah, I mean, I really want to test that. I really want to feel it, indeed. 6. All right, thank you. YouTube channel called The Moment has custom-made cassette decks for scratching. Because I've seen some footage of that, and that looked insane indeed. JX Rashid, what's going on? I'm a beginner DJ, and I wanted to know, how do you count music? I saw a video about how there are songs that don't start on the 1. Yes, that's a fact. So just in case, you're on my YouTube channel right now. I can see you're on YouTube. If you haven't, make sure you check out my How to Count Music tutorial that I have there on my channel. Not because it's my video, but because a lot of people have told me that explanation seemed to really help them out. Now, maybe you've already seen that, so you already understand how to count music now, but you're running into the issue that certain tracks don't start on the 1, or at least you've heard that. And yes, that is a fact. Knowing how to count music is, of course, the first step, or that is important, but you have to know where to start your count. And it's not just like, hey, when the song begins, your count begins. No, you're going to have to find that rhythm and hear the structure. So sometimes I hear a song from the beginning and I can't really tell yet where the count will begin. Now, most of the time, even if it's just a melody, most likely I can already bob my head to it and understand the tempo, but I might not understand the count yet. There's going to be a musical change, and most likely that musical change is the beginning of the new phrase, meaning where you can start your count. So maybe you're hearing some sort of melody, but it's not clear to you where the one is. At a certain point in that melody, all of a sudden, a new instrument gets added. Chances are that is where your one is. But even then, it's not always, because let's just say there's a melody playing on a piano. You don't catch the one yet, and then a bass line is added. There's no guarantee that that bass line actually starts on the one. It could also be a bass line that starts after the one or just before the one. But that's where that rhythm feel also comes into play. But there's been songs where I could clearly not tell where the one was until like 1 or 2 minutes into the song, the drums came in. Then I heard the drums, and the drums will make it a lot easier for you to hear, like, okay, this is the one. Then by listening to the drums and finding the count, I would listen to the melody under those drums to hear like, okay, so that part of the melody is at the one. Then I can go back to the beginning of the song, hear that melody again, and understand like, now I know where that one count is, and then I'll test it. Then I'll start to count from that one count. And if I'm doing it right, then my count will be correct until those drums come in. So yeah, that is something that you need to practice as well. JX Rashid with the follow. Appreciate you. And do you feel my stage name Transsurgical is good, or shall I try out a different name, as I like psytrance music a lot nowadays and diehard trance as well? Just a question. Have you heard psytrance? I'm not sure if I heard psytrance, even though there's a chance I have, because my youngest son listens to all sorts of music all day long on Mixcloud, all different genres. And he's into crazy stuff and all sorts of, like, from all sorts of dubstep, hip hop, techno to other types of house. It might have been in there. Now, one thing about your name, when I saw the name, and I understand how you like trance, so that's maybe where you got that from. When I saw the name, I did relate it to something else. And that's because it's a topic that's been going on more for the last couple of years. And that is, there's trans in your name, and then it's Transsurgical. And when people are trans and they transition, they get surgery. So I saw Transsurgical. So for a second there, I thought it was related to that. Now I see this and it means something totally different. So I don't know. Names aren't that important. A lot of the most famous DJs that we know now, if you check out their names, I don't know, their names don't sound that interesting or impressive, but you got used to the name, so now it's a name. Like the first, if you've never heard of the name Tiesto before, does it sound like super powerful or whatever? I'm not sure, but now we all know that name, and now it sounds like, hey, Tiesto, but it's more the recognition because you know that name now. And that goes for a lot of names. Like my DJ name is not the most interesting or marketable name, TLM. I mean, it's short for The Last Mohican, but TLM is just 3 letters. People who know me know TLM. Okay, so for them it's normal, but it's not like it's a crazy interesting name. I see Moby. Yeah, I mean, Moby. If someone came up with Moby, I mean, probably you got teased in the beginning, like, hey, we know that from Moby Dick, Moby. And now it's a normal name for people, you know? So a name is just a name. I don't really believe in that you have to have like a super marketable name. A lot of DJs in certain genres will just pick like a normal, like a name that sounds like a government name, like a first and last name, even if it's not their real government name. And that seems to work as well. So yeah. Ray Vega goes by the name Memorex. And I mean, of course, let's make no mistake, some names will sound better to the ear or may sound more marketable when you first hear them. But then it's still up to the person to live up to a name. Sometimes people will give themselves like a super legendary name that sounds super interesting. But if you don't live up to the hype, then the name doesn't mean anything. And DJ Polo, right. I mean, the story is more important. Like you said, like you called yourself Polo because you were wearing a lot of Ralph. So for people who don't get that, Ralph Lauren, Polo, the brand, DJ Polo, got you. So that makes sense. I mean, for me, it's the same thing. I mean, I go by the name TLM, short for The Last Mohican, because my government name comes from the story, the novel, The Last of the Mohicans. So for me, it's a story, and that's the origin story, and that makes sense to me. Understand? And for a lot of people, it'll go that way. I mean, I saw an interview with Just Blaze, and he didn't really come up with his name, but he was sitting in the studio and he was letting people listen to some of his beats, and he didn't have a name, or he had a name, but he wasn't really happy with that name, and people were giving him suggestions, and he wasn't feeling any of that. And someone came in while they were playing those beats, and the person heard those beats or heard a beat and was like, yo, that's just blazing. Like, meaning like the beat is fire. That's just blazing. And then someone else said, yeah, Just Blaze, that should be your name. And at first he didn't even like it at all. But the name ended up on a record, Just Blaze, and he just went with it. But now for us, that sounds normal. It even sounds like a dope name. Things can happen like that. Let me just see if I didn't skip anything. Article says the price of the T7 is great for the revolving platters. Yeah, I forgot the price point, but I remember hearing it in the video, and it was very reasonably priced, like a good price. Probably, like I saw Mixmaster G say that it felt more plasticky. I'm sure if the price is lower, they had to cut. I mean, don't want to say it negatively, but cut corners in some places. So you're not going to get a low price and get the most premium build quality. But build quality isn't the most important thing if you're not traveling with a device either, you know? We got Kakashi coming in from Brazil. Salute. And let's see, Sid Wallace, what up? In 1986, I first witnessed a scratch DJ Cheese, with Word of Mouth in London, and he blew me away. 3 turntables and changing records constantly. Do you think DJing is easier now with the technology? For sure. I mean, basic DJing is easier for sure. If we're looking at DJing as strictly playing songs and mixing songs, it has become easier for sure if you use technology. So if you were not great at lining up the records, syncing the records, you could have software do that for you, and a lot of times that will work. Everything is analyzed, so you know your BPM for everything, even though you could do that back in the days, but you have to like time your records and count. So you had DJs back in the days that would have all of the BPMs written on their sleeves of their records, but then they would actually just have to play the record, look at their clock, beats for, let's say, 30 seconds, and then you could multiply it, and then you know how many beats per minute, and they would write the BPM on their sleeves. I mean, you could do that, but nowadays it's a lot easier that you can have all of the information right there. You can see, okay, my songs are that tempo, play in that key, so they're going to mix easily with that song. That part is easier, and mixing itself has become a little bit easier. Then again, you still need to have those fundamental skills to make it sound great. If you use sync to sync up your tracks, but you don't know how to use your EQ, it's not going to sound as great. If you don't have timing and you don't understand the structure of songs, even if you hit sync so they're playing in sync, if you start your transition on the wrong count, it's still not going to sound great. But overall, yes, I would say it's gotten easier, but that doesn't make you dope. So what you describe here, for instance, playing with 3 decks and changing records constantly, there's still not a lot of DJs who do that great, even with the tech that we have now. But it has made it a little bit easier. But at the same time, technology has also opened new doors for creative experiments. I got to check my time real quick. Man. Now, I would say I have 2 minutes on the clock, but that's not true because I started late today. Hey, look, I'm going to, if there's anyone here who's also waiting for me to do a Flex 10 set, I'm just going to make that decision right now. Like I said earlier in the stream, I'm not sure if I want to do it today because I want to spend a little more time testing it first. So I'm going to continue this Q&A for a little bit longer because I started later, but I'm going to move my mix session with that Flex 10 to tomorrow. So, yeah, I want to spend a little more time to look at it. So if you came into the stream later, maybe you didn't even know, I had planned to also do a Flex 10 like set, just play around with it after this Q&A. I have it. It's right there waiting for me, but it'll wait for me until I get tomorrow, back tomorrow. But I want to spend a little more time going over the features. If I play now, I'm just going to do a normal mix set without actually testing the features, and I don't want to do that. I won't do the device justice. And I want to continue this Q&A for a little bit longer, so we're going to do that. And after the Q&A, I'm just going to stop the stream and tune in tomorrow if you want to see me with that Flex 10. Michael Power from Australia, I see you. Salute. And tribute to the mixtape DJ and Memo is a family childhood nickname. Got you. Gary King, mine is DJ Chris Cross because my middle name is Chris and Cross just had the same initials as my real name. Got you. And Kakashi says, damn, I thought most foreigners didn't know this flag. Well, I mean, from where I was looking, it looked like Brazil, just seeing the colors. And that's the U.S. flag. I mean, my flag is even different, but I mean, Brazil is a pretty known flag. Those colors are pretty well known. And we got, I gotta move that cable later. GX3 in the building. What up? I've been out of it for a while. Only a hobbyist, and my NS2 is no longer supported, and the NX3 is out of production. Is there a current controller on the market that has the spinning platters? So I guess you mean you have the NS7 Mark II, right? That's must be what you're talking about. So yes, you have a couple of options right now. You have Rain. And Rain has their Rain 1, and that is a 2-channel controller with motorized platters. And you have an option by Pioneer called the Pioneer Rev 7, also has the motorized platters. And you have an option by Native Instruments. They still make it, though. I mean, I don't consider it to be the same category as the Rain 1 and the Rev 7, but it does have spinning smaller jog wheels, and that is the Native Instruments Tractor S4 Mark III. That is for tractor. The jog wheels are smaller, but they are motorized. I would say your best bet would be to go for either a Rain 1 or a Rev 7. And like we were discussing in the chat, there's also now a more budget-friendly option by Hercules called the Hercules T7. But I can't really speak on that yet because I haven't tried it. But those are a couple of options that are available to you. That's all-in-one controllers. Then you also have separate player options. Like you had the NS7. At that time, Newmark also had the V7 players that had the same motorized platter. Denon also offers a player with a motorized platter, and that is the SC5000M and the SC6000M. Those look a little bit like CDJ media players, but then they have motorized platters. You do have to find the M version. That's the motorized version. So there's quite a few options actually out there. The NS7 was larger though. That was a big beast. I have version 1. I still have it. It is large. It is heavy. The Rev 7 and Rain 1 are a little bit smaller. Rev 7 is bigger than the Rain 1. For me, it's the ultimate controller out there right now, but that's just my personal preference. And yeah, I want to try that Hercules, but I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be the same level as my Rev 7. My Rev 7, the Rev 7. I don't have one. Still need to steal Pioneer's copy unit, get it back here in the studio. When should you change the plastic sheet on your map? Currently, I can see the spindle hole expanding. I don't know. The plastic sheet on your map. Wait, hold. Trying to make sure I understand what we're talking about here. Oh, got you, Matt. Okay. See, that's thank you, article. For a second, I was like map. I'm thinking of mapping MIDI, but plastic. Like what? So I don't have plastic sheets under my slip mats. So I don't know. I don't use them myself. And GX3, my pleasure. I hope that helps you out for sure. Raider 1, Aruba. Good to see you too. And Ernest in the building on Facebook. Salute, salute. Dominic on Mixcloud. Salute, I see you as well. Yeah, you can find me there or on Twitch, but the Q&A show is on my YouTube channel as well. And a few more places. But yeah, some people still use like plastic or wax paper under their slip mats to get that extra smooth feel. I've honestly never used them. I've played on a set with another DJ who was using the plastic underneath, and I mean, it was cool, but it didn't add anything for me. So I just use slip mats without any extra layer underneath. What are your thoughts on Virtual DJ? I started using it about 3 months ago, and after using it, I feel it's far superior to any other software. Only downside is it's not as user-friendly as Serato. Corey, that's the only thing that matters. What works for you? So I'm not a Virtual DJ user. Of course, I've known it since it came out. I saw it then, and it was definitely not up to par then. It was really the hobby version of DJ software. It was free. A lot of people were using it at home. It became very popular. Over the years, they upgraded, and it definitely deserves a place with the other names out there. If we're taking like Serato, Tractor, Rekordbox, Virtual DJ, Algorithm DJ, I would say those are the top names. I have no desire to switch because I'm perfectly happy using what I use. But I see all of the options they offer. Now, I think my issue would probably also be that it's not as user-friendly. That's also always been my issue with Tractor versus Serato. It's not as user-friendly, even though Tractor had more features. I think Virtual DJ probably also has more features, but I'm just really into the interface, the Serato interface, sorry. But yeah, if that works for you, you should definitely just continue to use that. Not sure if this was asked. What's your opinion on belt drive turntables? No, this was not asked. Great question. My opinion is, well, let me just take you back in time. I started with belt drive turntables. My first turntables were belt drive turntables. And anyone getting into DJing now who doesn't need a turntable to just play music, but actually wants to mix records, not even talking about scratching and turntablism, but even just mixing records, I would personally stay away from belt drive turntables and go for direct drive. Now, can you mix with belt drive turntables? For sure, for sure. But they just lack a lot of the power and make it a little bit more difficult compared to direct drive turntables. I had to learn on belt drive turntables. Now, maybe as a +4 belt drive turntables, it actually made my touch a little bit better because it teaches you to be very delicate and also precise. Because with belt drive turntables, even when you're not scratching, but you're just doing a mix and you nudge it on the side because it's too slow, with that belt drive, if that nudge has too much power, then it will continue to accelerate and you have to bring it back. But if you tap it to hit the brakes, it will slow all the way down. So you have to learn how to be very gentle using it. Also, when you start your mix and you're letting it go, you have to make sure you have enough movement. Otherwise, if you just let it go normally or hit start, it has that startup time, so you already fell behind. I learned how to mix on those, so it can be done for sure. It can definitely be done. Then again, when I got my first direct drive turntables, it just blew my mind because all of a sudden I just went from an old bicycle to like a race car. The difference was just stunning. Like all of a sudden, like you let it go and it is playing at the correct speed. And I can be pretty brutal when it came to like nudging and forward or backwards without messing up. But yeah, I always tell people to go for direct drive. Do you have break-in time for new DVS records? Vinyl Touch, great question. But since I'm on Phase so much, I would honestly have to say no, not anymore, because I'm not really on Control Vinyl. Even though a lot of times if I'm using Phase, I'm still using a Control record to use Phase on, just in case anything happens to Phase, I can make that easy switch. I always use my Control Vinyl way too long. I should switch earlier. But break-in time, I mean, I think the signal will get caught right away. It's more of a feeling thing for scratching that you want to break in records. But even that's not really an issue because you're not actually using the record that way. I mean, yes, the control signal is is on the vinyl. I get it. But I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, if I had brand new Control Vinyl, if for the first couple of sets it felt like it wasn't really as on point as later. I'm not sure. But anytime, like I would say, anytime I would have new Control Vinyl, I would always have probably done like a couple of little sets with it at home before I went out to play. So I guess I did kind of break them in. But then again, I would have no idea how long you would actually have to break them in to make them right. So, yeah, I didn't pay too much attention to that. And like I said, I was horrible. I was using them when they were already like gray and not giving proper signal anymore. Yeah, I'm horrible. And Polo says, get butter rugs. You won't need plastic record sleeves under the mats. Vinyl Touches, I use Virtual DJ for DVS and CDJ setups. Once it's configured correctly, it's just as good as anything out there. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it's one of the names. It's in that same category as the rest, for sure. Polo also says they don't keep pitch like direct drive. Yes, that's very possible as well. Yes. And Vinyl Touch, let me see, stirring the pot. Preference, Technics or super OEM turntables for turntablism? Oh, that's hard. I don't know. I don't know. I've used so many different turntables. I've had so many different turntables. So I started out on belt drive turntables. Those were the Technics. I think they were like the 2310 or something and a 33 something belt drive turntables. They did not have a pitch slider. You had a knob you had to turn to change the pitch. And after that, I had SL1200s. I still have SL1200s, but I've played a ton of gigs on Vestax PDX 2000 After that, PDX 3000. I played a ton of gigs on Newmark TTX turntables. Now, for the last couple of years, VL12s and RP 8000 Mark IIs. And they all work great. I can't really say that I have a preference, to be honest. They all feel a little bit different. That's the only thing. But that's the same thing. Like if you have a car and you step into your friend's car because you need to use his car for a day, those first couple of minutes you have to adjust. Like, okay, the braking is a little bit different. The steering feels a little bit different. Maybe you have power steering. This car doesn't have power steering. But after like 15 minutes, I'm good to go. It's the same thing with a turntable. Like, yes, this turntable might have a little bit more torque. But beyond that, I'll figure it out within 15 minutes. Now, since the introduction of DVS, that has even changed a little bit more because now you don't really, if you use DVS, let's say you're using Serato, relative mode, now we don't really have to worry about skipping anymore. So I don't have to worry about, hey, is this turntable more likely to skip than that turntable, because that is not a factor anymore. But it's all about the feeling and getting used to the feeling. So I've played on all those turntables. In my battle days, it was all Technics and then Vestax, and I've done sets on both. Yeah, I'm not sure. It works for me. All of them work for me. Is there a big feel difference between switching from turntables, the SL1200s, and Pioneer Rev 7 controller, Ambrose? So, I mean, for me personally, no, not that much. There is going to be a difference in size. So if you've only used turntables, you're using like these 12-inch platters, and now you're going to a smaller form factor. These are going to be smaller, and that might take some getting used to. Same with controllers. Most controllers have different size jog wheels, and they might feel a little bit different. But for me, I will never say like it feels exactly like a turntable, but for me, it works just as well as working with a turntable. I get that same type of feel from it. So for me, it was not a large adjustment, and I was already used to the different size, having used NS7 for a long time. So yeah. For me, it was an easy adjustment. Salute the Funk House. And B-Man the Legend, my pleasure. Do you find using DVS phase has a negative effect on pure vinyl usage and sets? So the one thing I always notice when I do my vinyl sets, so I started streaming again 6 weeks ago, doing that Sunday stream, and I will be doing vinyl sets again as well. The first vinyl set will probably be either I'm going to do it this Sunday, my Sunday session, or I'm doing it as a separate set in the coming week. But I'm going to be doing a vinyl set. The one thing I always notice when you get back to doing a vinyl set is the modern technology does spoil you, because I'm not used to records skipping anymore. I'm used to having easy access to doubles for everything. I'm used to having easy access to any point in the record from using cue points. I'm used to being able to prolong something by hitting an auto loop. You name it. All of those things are off the table when I'm doing my vinyl set. So yes, you feel a limitation because all of a sudden you don't have those things. But on the other hand, it always brings me back. It brings me a lot of great memories. So it's almost that nostalgia gives me a great feeling, even though I feel the limitations. And you have certain DJs that will always preach like, hey, the only real DJing is DJing with turntables and real vinyl. If I had to make a choice for the rest of my life to play either with vinyl or DVS, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be playing with DVS all day, because there's just so much more that can be done in that way, especially with the newer technologies, with the stems and everything in there. There's just so much more that you can do. But the vinyl sets, they have a special place in my heart. Also because I'm pulling different type of records out the wall than I would pull from the computer. So I love doing it. but you feel that limitation. But within seconds, I just get that out of my system and I go back to that vinyl mode. Like, okay, I have to be more on point, making sure I get that record back in time, thinking more about what I'm going to do, because I don't have the luxury of switching to, like I said, a loop or a cue. So yeah, the difference is there, but a negative effect for me, no, because I've played so many vinyl sets in my days that switching back isn't that difficult. Now, if you haven't had extensive time on vinyl and you go from DVS to a vinyl set, you're going to be in for a shocker. I mean, that's going to be crazy. But yeah, for me, it's okay. All right, head to head, Chris on the mix. Newmark NS7 Mark III, Pioneer DDJ Rev 7 wins. Just my personal opinion, Rev 7. Without a doubt. 100,000% for me. Couple of reasons. First off, the layout. That layout for me is perfection because it is the way I have my normal turntable DVS setup. S7, S9, whatever type of S from Pioneer in the middle. 2 turntables in battle position with that pitch fader at the top. That is how I play. Scratch mixer in the middle with the pads there. That's how I play. The Rev 7 is an exact copy of that. You have your player section in battle position with that pitch at the top and the mixer section in the middle with the performance pads there. Plus, on top of that, I only use Pioneer's onboard effects on all of their players. So for me, having those onboard effects there is everything. And the Rev 7 gives me that. Now, the NS7 Mark III is an absolute beast with the capacitive touch knobs, with the screens. I had a lot of fun with my NS7. I bought the add-on screen or used the add-on screen later on. It is super dope. I will never knock that controller. If I would make a top 3 of motorized controllers, that NS7 most likely would end up in the second place. But the Rev 7 is the king for me. I'm not even talking about the displays in the jog wheels. I didn't even mention that, which is a plus. But then again, the Newmark has displays as well. But the layout for me is king. Vinyl always. What's going on? Oh, so yeah, you just asked. I just mentioned that, like the all vinyl stream is coming back. It's going to be either coming Sunday or somewhere during the next week. So I have my new Sunday show, Sunday sessions. Every Sunday I'm doing a mix show, Sunday afternoon here in Amsterdam. The Share the Knowledge podcast is now back. The live stream is back every Wednesday. I'm adding another mix show within the next couple of months. Certified Bangers going to be doing that as a weekly mix show. And the vinyl sets, either I'm going to implement those as like Sunday sessions, vinyl edition, Certified Bangers, vinyl edition, or maybe I'm just going to give them their own separate spot. It's going to be at least once a month on vinyl. So I'm still figuring that out. I'm taking my time with the rollout of content and not doing it all at once, because I have to figure out what times work for me, what times work best for the audience as well. So a work in progress. But you will be getting a vinyl set in the next week or so. Yes? So make sure you follow me on Instagram. I always post that stuff there. All right, we're going to go on for a couple more minutes. It looks like I'm like right there along the lines with y'all. Like I'm not behind anymore. So that's great. Let's see. Polo says, I started with Linar Tech belt drive back in 91, 92. Yeah. Yeah, for me, it was around that era too. And I mean, I don't mind starting out with the belt drive. It gave me a lot more appreciation for the direct drive, but I'm not going to advise anyone starting now to start with belt drive just to have that same experience. Like, yeah, direct drive is the way to go for sure. And the Funk House, yes, vinyl humbles you back super quick. I do vinyl sets on Sundays, and it takes a little adjustment every time. Yeah, for sure. For me, it's the same way. Every time I do that vinyl set, you have to go through those couple of minutes like, okay, here we go. Like, for instance, anytime I have that first skip during a set, you're like, yeah, okay, of course, the skips, there we go. And just the fact that you have to bring it back. And if I want to do like a transition, and after that I want to do a little trick with doubles, transition, I have to get the record off, I get the next one on, you have to cue to the right spot. It takes more effort. But to me, all that effort is also a part of the fun. And even for me now, with all of the current day tech, which allows me to do certain things a lot easier, all of the free time I have goes into the other fun things. So I have more time for little scratches, little tricks while I have doubles on. For me, that time will never go to just looking at the screen and waving and making signs. And that's not a knock on the DJs who do that. It's not my thing, but it's also not my thing because I would rather spend my time having fun with the decks and maybe some effects or whatever, you know? Let's see. Vinyl Test says the Numark NS7 is proof that a 4-deck moving platter controller is possible. Facts. Easy Mike D says, I got an Eclair Nuo 2 with Eternal Fader. Nice. I haven't had experience with the Eclair mixers, but I've always heard great things about them. My favorite crossfader of all time, oh, man, that's a good one. That's a good one. Probably, I would say it would probably be that Magvel Pro fader that's in the like the S9 and same one in the S7, right? I think I would have to go with those. I mean, I've had a lot of Vestax mixers and I like their faders. Some of the faders were just too smooth for me. You remember the mixer, the Technics scratch mixer? I forgot the name. That crossfader was so ridiculously smooth that if you would just move the mixer from side to side, the fader would automatically just glide. I did not like that at all. That was if I was doing juggles, anytime I would do a juggle, if I click the fader to one side, it would actually just bounce back and open again. It would mess up my juggles. So I prefer to feel on those Pioneer faders. I know a lot of people will stick to inner faders, and I haven't used many inner faders. The ones I used felt great, but I only used them for like 15 minutes during some like open portablism set. So I haven't spent proper time. Maybe over time I would grow to love some of those faders even more than the fader on those Pioneer mixers. But I was a big fan. Before that, I had the DJM 909. Always liked that fader as well. Man, yeah, I have to. Maybe I'm overlooking certain fader now, but yeah, Polo, that was crazy. Like I said, like literally, you just move the mixer and the fader goes. It's crazy. For scratching, it was okay, but like I said, especially for juggles, man, I hated that. Okay, one more head-to-head here. And Chris on the mix, I can already tell you I cannot answer that. And the question is, Rain 4 or Flex 10? I've not looked into the Rain 4 at all yet. And the Flex 10, even though I have it here, I have not given it a test run yet. So I can't comment. They're both 4-channel, but I need to go over the feature list. And for me, most importantly, is I have to actually feel them. Looks dope, though. MIC, You came in during the end. Like it's from 7 to 9. I started a little bit later. I continued a little bit longer. But I am actually going to end this stream now. This is the end. But I'm back now. So for the people who don't know yet, you can find me online every Sunday with my Sunday Sessions mix show. And my Q&A show is now back as well on Wednesdays from 7 to 9 Amsterdam time. And MIC, man, hey, any questions you have, you're going to have to save them for next week, man. That's all I can do for you. But yeah, that's it. I want to thank y'all for tuning in, and I appreciate all the feedback. And if you have any questions you want me to cover during this Q&A that you want to send me in advance, you can always do that. You can just hit me up. Either just leave a comment. I'll make a post a couple of days in advance on IG. You can leave a question there, or just hit me up on email. And that will be sharethenowledge@djtlm.com. But you can also just wait for the live stream and do it in the session. So Polo article, GX3, MIC, all of you in the chat, much love. Great to see all of you back again. You see me back again, but I see all of your names and many familiar names in here. That was great to see you. Quick check on Mixcloud. Dominic, I still see you over there. Six, of course. And Silence, much love. Funkhouse, all of you. All right, man. I'm out. See y'all next week. Peace. Stop recording and stop streaming.